we're getting right into the makeup portion of this video. Unfortunately, I did not have the time to film an intro to this video. So the first thing that I'll be starting off with is my Maybelline concealer. This is actually the whitest one that I own. And now that I placed it on my eyelid, I'm just making sure to blend it all the way up towards my brow. The reason I start off with such a white base is to ensure that my eyeshadows actually pop as much as they possibly can. And then I usually just take a sponge and like to blend it out, that way you don't necessarily see a lot of harsh lines. And now I'm just taking this orange eyeshadow, placing that all over the upper portion of my lid, trying to stay as close to the crease as I possibly can, and then trying to bring it up to almost my eyebrow. The majority of this makeup look was created using the Profusion Spectrum palette. I really enjoyed using these eyeshadows because they were not hard to apply and I did not need to put down a lot of eyeshadow primer in order to get them to stick. They actually worked really well with other colors or other eyeshadows that I had in different palettes. And now I'm just making that first orange shade a little bit darker. I did take a much more brown orange shade from this Whatever Forever palette from Rude Cosmetics. And now that I've applied that orange shade to my liking, I will move on to applying black shadow. The black shadow that I chose for this look is actually coming from the James Charles x Morphe palette. I did start off with a little bit at a time because I did not want to mess up to begin with. Starting off with a little and then moving on to applying more at a time usually minimizes the amounts of mistakes you'll make. And of course at this point I did chop down the video. You obviously see that I have a lot of black shadow on my crease. That is primarily because I did not want to constantly be showing that I just applied more and more black shadow as I went. Now taking that same Maybelline concealer that I always use, of course it being the lightest shade that I own, I am just trying to make this somewhat a cloud shape, it having primarily just 4 little bubbles and then making sure that it is placed all over my lid. By far, this was the most time-consuming part of the video because I did not want to mess up. If I messed up, if I got concealer anywhere else, I would have had to start all over again. So I did take my time with this. And in the end, this is what your eyelid should look like. It kind of resembles a flower, but not necessarily. I tried to go for a cloud shape, but did not work out primarily how I wanted it. So I moved on to applying my eyeshadow on top of that concealer off of camera because I did not want this video to take too long. So here I am starting off with eyeshadow primer. Actually, it is my Urban Decay eyeshadow primer, the same one that I always use for every video. And now I'm applying this yellow shade, also coming from the Spectrum palette from Profusion. It was actually a really easy color to blend out and apply. You just gotta make sure that when applying this color, you take a small brush, trying to get it not necessarily on top of that black that we did apply earlier. And now I'm just taking that same orange shade that we used in the beginning, making sure that I stay within those lines that I created, and then making sure that I actually blend it out with that yellow that I applied to begin with. If you got some orange or yellow on that black that we had applied earlier, that is completely fine. I did go back in with actually an eyeliner brush, and I grabbed a little bit of black and then outlined it once more, making sure that my black did pop out a little bit more. And then from there I did apply some more black to the outer corners of my eyes, making sure that it blended out perfectly with that orange. And now you'll notice that I'm actually trying to wipe off all that excess eyeshadow that fell onto my cheeks. Of course, it did not work out as I had planned. I thought it was going to come off easily, but unfortunately that black shadow was really hard to come off. So what I had to do was actually take some concealer and make sure that I cleaned up those edges. For this, the only thing that you had to make sure was that you stayed in the line as perfectly as possible, and then from there you just had to take a simple sponge and then blend it back out. After applying my concealer, I just went ahead and applied my foundation. For the lower portion of our eyes, I just took that same orange eyeshadow that we had used in the beginning and for our eyelids. And right here, I know it's a little hard to see. I've tried zooming in, but unfortunately you can't really see it. I did apply some glitter. I did start off with a glitter primer and then made sure to apply it to my inner corner. Unfortunately, I did not film the part where I had created this small little spider on the corner of my eye. It was really hard to actually do on camera. This was the second spider that I actually tried to do. The first one, I completely came out messed up, so I made sure to wipe it off, put foundation all over that, and then start off again. Last step was to apply a lipstick or liquid lipstick. I am just taking this burgundy shade, and then to that I did want it to look a little bit darker, so I did apply some black shadow to the corners, somewhat giving it an ombre effect. Applying that black shadow to the outer corners of my lips actually made the lipstick go everywhere, so I did have to go back in with a concealer and try to get those lines as perfectly as possible again. And that is it for this Halloween makeup look. This is the very first one of the month. I promise they will get better. I just wanted to start off with a simple one, so this is the first one I decided to put up. If you enjoyed watching this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will be back next week with another Halloween inspired video. Thank you.